there's the risk that increased immigration and continued labor market tightness could lead to persistently high core services inflation.
Okay, so we'll translate that. That was a Fed official essentially warning that as this migrant crisis continues in this country, it's serving to only push prices even higher as we are already in an inflation crisis. The White House, though, has praised the president.
Are they talking about illegal immigrants or legal migrants? If they're talking about legal, because they're not saying, I mean, it's Fox News. They bigger letters, illegal immigrants, right? Illegal aliens, whatnot. So I'm going to assume it's migrants. Legal migrants, rather. And who are the legal migrants? Basically, high-skilled individuals who come to this country to do jobs that we just don't have the skills for. A lot of tech, brilliant people. But then there's also the other migrants who fill in jobs that Americans are not willing to do. A lot of them are kind of like the more labor-intensive jobs, but if you have a legal status to come to the U.S. and work, you're not doing like those really, really tough jobs that illegal immigrants do, right? So I just want to be clear that I think they're going with legal migrants for this.
For bringing prices down, albeit just in the last couple of years from the high prices under his watch. Robert Wolf is a former economic advisor to President Obama. Dan Greenhouse is strategist for Solus Alternative Asset Management. Thanks to both of you for being here. So Dan, I mean, for us, that was the first time we heard, especially from a Fed official, the tying of the migrant crisis to inflation getting worse. What did you think when you heard it?
Yeah, so what the point that she's making is when you think about what immigrants might normally do, they come into the country, both legal and illegal, they buy goods, they buy services, that's normal. They go into the labor market, they boost or lower wages, that's normal. But in the current case, the CBO expected somewhere around 1 million immigrants into the country in 2023. The actual number was more than 3 million, so 3 to 4 times more immigrants came into the country at a time when we had a very low supply of housing. And the point that she's making is in that type of environment, it wouldn't be surprising to see these immigrants push up housing inflation, which feeds into the types of measures that the Fed cares about.
And perhaps that's already happening. I mean, Robert, I'll get your take.
I don't know if it's me, but I feel like they're mixing both illegal and legal immigrants into one category, just migrant, whether legal or illegal. And they're kind of having a negative spin to this. And yeah, and of course, in a consumer economy that we live in right now, yes, people are going to be buying foods, people are going to be buying goods, and because there's a lower supply and greater demand, prices are going to go up. So what do? Blame immigrants, really? That's what you got? In a capitalist society, you would figure out, okay, this is the problem. We have a problem with demand. We have a problem with supply. So if demand's high and supply is low, how do we boost production so we have greater supply so we can sell more and make more money? Not, oh, we can't have enough. But then again, these are a lot of monopoly companies that prevent others from other companies moving up and competing. You know, I'm not here to be an illegal immigrant sympathizer. You know, you'll find me on the conservative side saying like, yeah, we need to fix the border. We can't just be letting anyone in. You crazy? We don't know what the background is. I mean, they could be criminals for all we know, and very dangerous ones. And I'm sure if you watch enough Fox News, you'll see all the crazy illegal immigrants that kill a lot of people. But legal migrants, you know, I really don't have an issue. They've gone through the process. They have a background check. They have a skill that we need in the U.S., and they come here with arms open, welcomed.
Take on this. These are housing costs under this presidency. From June 2021 to March 2024, home prices up 34%, rent prices up 21%, mortgages up 152%.
So illegal immigrants can't buy a house, or at least that I'm aware of, or the legal method. So I guess you could blame legal migrants, people who are allowed here. But that's crazy to put a blame on them. I guess you could say we need legislation to slow down the amount of people who come in here legally. Remember, I'm saying legally. I'm being really careful with my words. But then again, we still need very skilled people in our economy. And we just still have kids who are majoring in gender studies and communications and unicorn theory. So of course we're going to be looking outside the world for people who understand physics and engineering and doctorate level stuff to solve a lot of our problems so our lives are easier and better. So I can't see legal immigrants at all causing home prices to go up. I can see maybe legal, okay, they might contribute to it. Rent, sure, all of them, right? You could throw any illegals in there too, because they'll figure out a way to, they need a place to stay, right? They need to rent somewhere. So yeah, I guess so. But then again, when you're renting a place, you have to show like income, usually 2.5, 3 times your income. You have a lot of things to prove. So a lot of these rents, of course, they're very shady landlords, right? And I don't know how the landlords put it on their taxes and whatnot, showing that, yeah, I have a resident who's renting at my location. And mortgages, like illegals can't get into mortgage. So sure, we can blame legal immigrants, legal migrants. But it's hard for me to see that it's illegals pushing up mortgage rates.
That's great for the haves. If you're already in a house, you're seeing the value of it go way up. But for the have-nots, it's tough out there.
Yeah, no, it's very tough. I mean, we've been clear for the last few years since COVID that with the supply of housing way down starting during COVID, and then the logistics issues we've had, as well as inflation bringing rates up. So all of a sudden, mobility of those who want to move, aren't going to,
Okay. But to this idea that more and more migrants coming into the country, the more we see this happening and not getting control of this situation, that Fed official is saying that is making inflation worse.
Yeah, no, I read her speech, and so I was going to finish on housing, because housing's a supply-demand situation that started during COVID with the lack of supply. You know that.
We got
from
it.
Your economics background.
What illegal immigrants come in here buying houses? Is there any of them that are rich crossing the border buying houses? And if you're going to buy a house, you have to have all the documentations you need to prove that you're an American citizen. I just bought a house recently, last year. I had to show so much identification. There's no way in hell you can make me believe that illegal immigrants are able to do this. Legal, sure. They have legal residency. I get it. If we want to blame them, sure. People who've gone through the legal way, if you want to blame them, I'd be interested to see what you guys have to say in the comments.
And all of a sudden, with higher rates, we know that people aren't, selling their homes because of mobility, which she was also saying. She was going both ways. She was saying that if we reduce immigration, the labor market will tighten and it will impact wages. She was also saying the other side, the impact on housing. I actually agree with the Fed governor on her main point to her speech, that the Fed should not look to lower rates. They should keep their tools in their toolbox. I'm not necessarily where she is on hiking rates, but I actually definitely agree that the Fed's view of lowering rates is
well, it seems you're getting away from the topic here, and that is that we have an unprecedented record number of migrants coming into this country under his watch. And as this is happening, prices are going up. Most economists say that's because of massive government spending. But at the same time, this is going to make things worse. This is Mitch McConnell weighing in. Listen.
If Joe Biden is defeated this fall, I think the principal reason that will occur is 2 unforced errors. One, the $2.6 trillion creating the inflation, and the other, basically opening the border.
And these worlds, Dan, have been colliding for quite some time now.
Yeah, so we're talking about housing costs, but at the same time, the surge in immigration into the United States, again, originally expected to be, call it 1 million, actually 3 to 4 million, ends up boosting government spending because a lot of the immigrants that come to the country need financial support in the form of phones or food stamps or whatever sort of government assistance.
I mean, that's true. We don't know how many illegal immigrants have been crossing the border, though. They think it's 3 million. I mean, who knows? Who has an accurate count? Who's at the border counting all of them? We really don't know how many people are crossing the border illegally. And yes, they are getting some free housing, some cell phones, free food. They're getting a lot of this free stuff that makes me want to just cross the border and call myself an illegal. It's just crazy of the benefits that they're getting out of our tax dollars. But I also don't... Maybe that's the correlation. Like all the government spending on the illegal immigrants is shooting up inflation. That could be it. All the benefits that they're receiving. That's a possibility. I can see that, honestly.
is put into place, and in an environment in which we're already spending a ton of money, it lends even more money throughout the economy, which can make the inflation situation, and I would probably argue, has made the inflation situation a bit worse.
I mean, remember when they were talking about 3 rate cuts this year, Robert? Robert, that was broadcast by the Federal Reserve chair before the turn of the year. Now it looks like there's not even going to be any cuts at all. Real quick final thought to you.
I was never supportive of the rate cuts. You and I were always saying long tail inflation is here. I would just say that President Trump's 100% former President Trump's 100% tariff would be the worst thing ever for inflation that our economy's ever seen. And most Republican economists agree with that.
Well, so far, there hasn't been a lot working to keep those prices from going higher under the current administration. We're dealing with that for the time being. But this will surely be a big debate on that stage tomorrow. So thank you very much to both of you for setting it up.
So I can see that all the additional benefits that illegals are getting could impact inflation. I can see that in a sense. That makes sense to me. You know, the legal immigrants that we want here in the country have talent, and they're not asking for benefits. Those are the ones that we should be wanting. Not the ones that will come in here and they require so much of our tax dollar assistance, right? But I also want to touch on that in the past, I don't even know how many presidents. I mean, this is both Republican and Democrats about the real secret about illegal immigration coming into the U.S. And this is both Republicans and Democrats from past George Bush Sr., Reagan administration, Carter administration, and even farther back. That the whole point of having just a sliver, just some just through the cracks of illegal immigrants because of labor. They provide cheap labor. They do the jobs that suck a lot, and no one's willing to pay a lot of money for that labor, right? A lot of it is like a lot of farming jobs, back-breaking work, especially food processing jobs. You know, anyone can pick up and do it. It's just back-breaking. And not a lot of Americans want to do that. Not a lot of U.S. citizens want to do that job because it sucks and doesn't pay that well. You're busting your ass for pennies for those jobs. And not even legal immigrants want to do that. So they have to go to illegal immigrants who have zero status or anything. And it's the only jobs available. You know, they're picking fruits and vegetables out in the hot sun. You can't point to me a legal immigrant, let alone a U.S. citizen who's willing to do that job. It sucks and doesn't pay a lot. There's also construction jobs where a lot of illegal immigrants are used for. Landscaping jobs. A lot of services jobs like hotels, cleaning services. And you know, a lot of the owners of these companies, they hire a lot of these illegal immigrants because they know they can just get this same type of work but cheaper. Why hire someone who's of a legal status in the U.S. because they're going to demand more money and benefits and whatnot? Why do that when you could just get illegal and then just not pay them benefits and pay them really, really low wages? And keep in mind, this is something that the politicians and elites want. You know, just a small few drops of illegal immigrants coming in to do these hard, difficult jobs that no American wants to do. And of course, it doesn't impact the politicians or the elites' daily lives, but it impacts the daily lives of like working class and poor Americans who have to live with them. And it increases crime rates and whatnot, but politicians and elites doesn't bother them at all because they're not going to live in their neighborhood. Their neighborhood's worth millions of dollars of estates. What illegal is going to afford that or live nearby them? But now with this administration, illegal immigration is crazy. Instead of a few drops of illegal immigrants coming in, it's like the floodgates open. Like the dam broke off. Like the faucet's on full blast. And there's no stopping it. There's not even an effort. They say there is, but there really isn't. Come on now. You see that Joe Biden says that they're making all these legislations to stop illegal immigration. It's like, okay, now you're doing it? What happened before? Are you going to get rid of the people who came in here? Probably not, because they're like, okay, we got enough cheap labor to come in. But my big worry about this, what Fox News is putting out, they're just going to make Americans divided more. Let's point the finger at immigrants of why we have high inflation. Let's not look at the elites. Let's not look at the politicians who created the inflation in the first place. Let's just point at the poorest of poor people, and let's further divide. So it's kind of a shame on you, Fox News. You know, it's not good. I don't know. If you guys believe me, don't believe me, please feel free to comment below, hit the like button, subscribe, and until next time, bye.